KJ and Lyons, WEEI. Good Saturday to you. 617-779-7937. Text line 37937. If you missed any little ditties here on the show, the Odyssey app is free. Just download the app, play it on your Alexa device, say, hey, Alexa, play WEEI Boston, and you've got us right here. All right, let's go to Mike in Maine. Mike, thanks so much for calling KJ and Lyons. You're on the air.
Hey, I remember a few years ago that Dallas actually in one of their drafts drafted like 3 offensive linemen or 4 offensive linemen. And the end result wasn't Dallas getting to the Super Bowl or anything, but it did make Tony Romo look good, and they were in some playoff games. I'm just thinking that maybe if we are to rebuild, is it viable to rebuild in chunks when it comes to different positions, I guess?
Mike, thanks for the call. Absolutely, I totally agree. I think you go get a mix of free agent, offensive linemen, and mix them in with rookies where you probably have a rotating 7-man thing kind of going on, John, would you say? And then you could probably readdress Mac Jones one more time to see if he's the guy.
Yeah, like the way I look at it is, and I know we can't get too far ahead because we don't know the draft order yet, but like if you can get Marvin Harrison Jr., take him because he's that good, I think. Other than that, though, yeah, I'm a big proponent of build through the offensive line early because even I think Sidney So could be a pretty good offensive lineman, but he's a later round pick. He's going to take another year to develop. And if you look at their offensive line, it's been bad most of this year. But Trent Brown has actually been pretty good, but you can't depend on him long term. Mike Onwenu, you got to re-sign, but you still probably need another tackle, to cover Trent Brown's eventual departure, and you need another interior O-lineman because Cole Strange has been inconsistent this year. David Andrews is on the other side of 30 now, and at right guard, again, I kind of like Sidney So, but he's not a sure thing by any means. So, if they walk away from free agency in the draft with 3 new offensive linemen next year, I think that's A, totally possible, and B, I think they'd probably be better off.
Yeah, if anything grades anything close to Penei Sewell, I don't care. You take that guy number one. Penei Sewell,
good
I
is
think
that guy?
930-something snaps.
Pressure snaps and allowed 1 pressure. That's unreal.
And look what Jared Goff has become now, a legit quarterback where he doesn't have this exceedingly skill set that everybody screams about. David Amherst, thanks for calling KJ and Lyons. You're on the air.
Hey, guys, thanks for the time. I just want to say about Mac Jones, the last 6 games of his rookie year, he was terrible. His arm strength has never gotten better. You could say about every game for the other team, even more than ours, if he caught this, if they had done that, if the refs had done this, he's been bad. He's just everything stems from the quarterback. Without that, you have no team. So they got to draft high. They got to get a quarterback. They got to move on ASAP. It's just not going to work with Mac Jones. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for the call. I mean, they made the same argument about Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco, so why can't it apply here?
Yeah, and I would be open to, if you get the 2nd overall pick and you can take Drake May, I'm fine.
Stay away.
I know your thing about North Carolina. I know. Just the overall point, you can upgrade at QB. I mean, personally, I love Jaden Daniels out of LSU, and maybe you can get that guy in the late 1st or early 2nd round. But
that's the argument.
That's a conversation for April. But
that's the argument, though, is that it feels like it's one of the more deeper quarterback classes in recent history. So do they take the gamble of getting a Marvin Harrison Jr. and then wait?
The only thing I'd say to that, Joe, and I do agree with you. Hey, if you got Marvin Harrison Jr. 3rd overall, and then at 28th, you trade up and you get Jaden Daniels, I would come into the studio and I'd give you and KJ a hug. I'd be that happy. The only thing I would say to that,
more than a hug, money would be better.
The only thing I would say to that, though, is didn't we hear that about 2021? Right?
Yeah.
And look at that 2021 draft. I think Trevor Lawrence is good. He's legit. Zach Wilson's been bad. Trey Lance has already been traded. Justin Fields, we really don't know what to make of him, but he's clashed with his coaches. Right. And Mac has been bad the last year and a half, whatever. But so even that draft, there's 5 first-round picks. These guys this is going to be one of the deepest QB drafts ever. It's like that draft in 83 with Dan Marino and John Elway, whatever year that was. One of those guys is good right now. Yeah, that's my only concern. And again, I love Jaden Daniels. I'll give you guys a hug if they get him in the late 1st, early 2nd, but you do still have to be cautious here. And I think the best scenario, KJ, and I know people listening to this might tell me I'm nuts, the best scenario for the Patriots is that in the next 7 games, however many they have left, 7 games, Mac Jones looks like a franchise QB, but you still get a top 10 pick.
John,
because
then you feel good about at the end of the show.
I'm just saying, no, but in the dream world scenario, because then you're like, oh, we don't have to take a quarterback in the top 5. Like, you want to be able to go into the top 5 and say, we're going to take the best player, whether it's an offensive tackle, a receiver. Maybe you love Brock Bowers at tight end. I don't know.
Look, I think, you know what I think the best case scenario for the Patriots is what happened to Seattle maybe about 10, 11 years ago, where I forgot the guy's name. He was the backup.
Matt Flynn.
Matt Flynn went to Seattle, got that big deal.
Sports Business Hall of Famer.
Right, and then there you go. In the 3rd round, you find Russell Wilson. So hopefully there's a gem that you can find second, 3rd round that can come in and actively compete for the spot and not have to worry about going through a first-round guy all over again, because I don't think it's going to take a first-round level quarterback to beat out the quarterback that's here. All right, let's go to Lewis in the truck. Lewis, thanks for calling KJ and Lyons. Right before we get to Lyons, Dan, you're on the air, Lewis.
Yes, sir. I wanted to propose something. I don't know if you think that's going to work. How about bringing back Mac Jones and the former offensive coordinator?
Josh McDaniels?
Yeah, Josh McDaniel, and get some weapons to surround Mac Jones, because Mac Jones was thriving on the Josh McDaniel, right? And
yes, well.
So I think if you surround him with some talent and bring back the offensive coordinator, I think, that could work in the future, don't you think?
Lewis, thanks for the call. I don't want to see any more old Patriots walking through the door.
By the way, Josh McDaniels might end up in Buffalo, so
that's okay.
Josh Allen's best year was with Brian Daboll.
Because remember, about a year and a half ago, some were wondering, was Josh McDaniels potentially the heir apparent to Belichick when Belichick stepped away? And I wondered if the answer was no for management, and then he took the Raiders job and then brought the GM with him. Because think about it. When it's rare, usually you fire the GM first and then the coach. They fired the coach and the GM at the same time because the coach brought the GM. So I don't want to see Josh McDaniels come back in here, because it's like, you can't put new wine bottles in old wineskins.
I would like Josh to come back, but the issue is, I think it would be awkward if Bill O'Brien's still here. Like, what are you going to do? Is Josh just going to be some consultant while O'Brien's here? Like, I wouldn't be shocked. Look, I personally think Josh might take next year off or go to Buffalo, and Bill O'Brien will be here. But what if Bill O'Brien says, hey, I'm going to go take that Texas A&M coaching job that's open. I had pretty good success at Penn State. Well, then I would want Josh back. I'm open to. I'm a big supporter of Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator, not a head coach. So I would want him back. But
a bridesmaid eventually becomes very bitter inside of a wedding. If you're always a bridesmaid and people are like, you know what, you had a couple. But
he's had
marriages.
2 chances to be the groom, and both times he's failed.
There you go. You know what? We have given the show to the people that we're going to have to move the Lions Den into the next break. So let's continue the conversation about the Patriots, because we got to get to the Belichick aspect and this whole thing about these rumors of him moving. It's the 1 million times a zero theory. That's next here on WEEI. Thanks for hanging out with KJ and Lyons.